thickness planers are wonderful tools. They're great to have even in a small workshop like mine. They allow you to save money by buying rough lumber or surfacing reclaimed wood such as this oak pallet. However, they're generally a storage inconvenience and rather heavy. If you want to see how I built this platform that folds away and mounts underneath any workbench, go ahead and stick around. Before we get started, I just want to highlight a few of the features. I'm breaking this down into components. We have the platform, which is what the planer is actually mounted on. There are 4 links. There's what I'm calling the upper support, which is just what supports the platform when it's in its upper position. I'm calling this the drawer. It's just a 3-sided box that functions as a drawer. And then, of course, you have the drawer glides that are standard 24-inch full extension glides. And underneath the bench, you have the frame that it folds away into. One of the things I did not show in a video is this little stop that I made. I want to make the same assembly for the other side, but it's a very easy assembly to make. It's just held by a screw, and it literally just falls into place with gravity. First component I'm cutting is a frame for underneath the platform that the planer will be mounted to. After they get cut to length, I mark and drill through holes for the link bolts that will allow the platform to rotate around the links. I used my next drill bit size up from the diameter of the bolt just to allow it to rotate freely with little side-to-side movement. For virtually all the assembly, I just used glue and brad nails. With the platform complete, the next component I started to cut is the 4 links that are going to allow the platform to rotate and support it when it's both in the hanging and up position. After cutting the links to length, I bored through holes with the same diameter drill bit as I drilled through the frame. The center to center distance of these is 13 inches. So from the hanging location to the upright location, the planer changes elevation by about 26 inches. I used a 2-inch hole saw as a template to mark how I was going to round over the links. Come here, dude. Next, I counterbored the links to recess the head of the bolt so that everything could rotate freely and still be tightly tolerant side to side. I didn't want the platform to be able to move side to side, so I wanted the drawer to be tight up against the links. Now that the platform and the links are complete, I moved on to machining the drawer. I put it together with lap joints and screws to give it a little bit more rigidity than if I were to use just a standard butt joint. Here I'm mocking up the drawer and the platform. You can see why I counterbored for the heads of the bolts so that everything can rotate. It's a little more clear in this section. With the platform and the drawer assembled, next I'm figuring out the dimensions to make the frame and cut all the frame pieces, rip them, and then cut them to length and assemble them with pocket holes. And in this shot, I'm about to make mistake number one in the project. The pocket holes that are facing up on the near side of the frame are actually to mount the frame to the workbench itself, and I mounted that portion of the frame upside down, so I had to re-drill those pocket holes later on. Following finishing assembling the frame, I mounted my drawer glides. This is where the project started to get exciting because I could see the end of it. I marked layout lines on the workbench to ensure that I mounted the frame square, and then screwed it to the workbench. You can see that the pocket hole mistake hasn't been caught quite yet, and I'll pause to re-drill all those pocket holes off camera. Oops. Those were supposed to be pocket holes going down that way. The strip of plywood you see near my waist on the outside of the drawer is to mount the drawer glides to. It provides about a 3/4 inch space for the end of the bolt and the nuts that you can see I'm attaching here. It allows for clearance between the drawer and the frame. When I assembled it, I used washers in between everything just to allow for things to glide even when tightened down. It was pretty satisfying to finally assemble the drawer and the links in the platform all together and see how it was going to move and function. I was ready to finish this project and see if the platform was actually going to work. Once I had the whole assembly mounted to the drawer glides in the frame, the only thing left to do was to create some sort of an upper support mount for whenever the planer is in its raised position. Here I'm determining the height to offset the planer at a little bit of an angle toward the workbench. This allows gravity to hold the planer in its position whenever it's raised. Now, one thing I wasn't certain about until mounting the planer was how much the whole platform was going to deflect with those full extension drawer glides. Each glide is supposedly rated to 100 pounds from the manufacturer, but I still wasn't sure how much deflection was going to come with that until I put the planer on. Ultimately, it was negligible. There is some deflection, of course, when you put the planer onto the fully extended drawer, but it doesn't affect the operation. It's not even noticeable. The next thing I want to talk about is you can see how awkward it is to manipulate the drawer and the platform without a stop block in place. All your force of lifting the planer makes it want to push the drawer back in, so that stop is critical to the function of the whole assembly. I hope you like the mount. If you did like it and you want to see what's going on in my shop in the future, please like, subscribe, and of course share it with your friends so they can learn a few tips from my shop. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below.